Alright, so I'm here with Sean. Your last name is
Smith.
Smith. Okay, and we're probably going to talk about any number of things, but starting off with Russia and their just unbridled love for nerve gassing possible defectors.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of development for espionage with the
Mm-hmm.
Russians offing their offing the UK's former spy against them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you would think that normally, people like that who've kind of gone through the whole ringer of being captured
Yeah.
by the Russians, exposed, pardoned, etc., sent off in exile to the UK would get spared a fate like that.
No,
But
but they decided to nerve gas them. What confused
yeah,
me is that they used some sort of nerve agent, but it's sort of in a place where they're clearly not trying to make it look as though it was an accident, because if they wanted to
mhm,
do that, they just stick a needle in his arm and make it look like a drug overdose or something.
yeah,
But it's not as though it's particularly unsubtle. Like, if they really wanted
yeah,
to send a
no.
message, I don't see why they don't just, like, burn his house down.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've kind of wondered what happened to shooting someone to kill them. Like, are bullets more expensive than nerve gas now?
This
I
is
mean,
Russia. They don't have very good guns. I remember, who was it that they assassinated? It might have been Russia. I can't remember who it was, but they assassinated him by sticking a bead with anthrax inside of an umbrella and shooting somebody in the thigh with it.
oh yeah, that was some was it a Bulgarian spy? Yeah, there was a spy that the Soviet Union was
Mm-hmm.
responsible for offing some spy, I think it was some Bulgarian related
Mm-hmm.
individual in the UK on the London Bridge by some dude just jabbing him with a needle on the end of an umbrella that had ricin on it. And he's like, oh, shit. And he goes home. He dies in his home, and then the doctors are just confused as to how this even happened.
Oh yeah, I was snorting anthrax.
Yeah,
Happens to the best of us.
yeah. Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
Anthrax and ricin in his blood. Oh, look, and a needle. I don't even know how they traced it back to him getting stuck with an umbrella. Maybe he lived to get to the emergency room, but doctors couldn't figure it out in
Bruce
time.
told him I got stabbed with an umbrella. I got stabbed with an umbrella. The man's clearly losing his mind. We need to get him on a sedative. I got stabbed with an umbrella. It was the goddamn Ruski.
Yeah. Oh man, Todor's off his block again. Maybe he's just going through withdrawal.
Oh
Yeah.
god. Bulgaria, is that still a country?
Yeah, they're right below Romania, and they're just
Romania's a place. Isn't
destitute.
that where the vampires come from?
Yeah, they come from the Transylvanian part of Romania. Romania is composed of like three equally kind of shitty parts of Europe. It's just like
It's just astonishing the prospect of there being like millions and millions of people living in these countries that no one ever thinks about.
yeah, and even just like in a country like Romania, you kind of have to wonder how is it still there?
Mm-hmm.
Just because like literally all of its history, it's just Romania getting attacked by different cultural, religious, and ethnic groups to the point of obliteration and
And
colonization.
it's not like Israel where you can sort of look at like, yeah, it's a resilient group of people. No, they just existed somehow.
Yeah, they just kind of hid in the mountains. Is kind of
They
like
hid. They bred rapidly. They don't really have condoms there.
yeah, no, yeah, not too many. It's not the orthodox way. And like yeah, that's where Vlad comes from. He comes from the southern part of Romania.
That dude was goddamn crazy.
Oh yeah, he was. He's like an old fashioned terrorist.
He is. He would make people eat the remains of their dead relatives.
Yeah.
He loved drinking blood. That's where the whole vampire thing came from, because he loved drinking blood like a goddamn
Mm.
maniac. Did he like die of AIDS or something?
He died in some prison in Austria, I
Huh.
think, after having to flee because the Ottoman Turks invaded his country because he refused to pay them taxes.
Makes sense.
So basically, what he did is one day he's like, I don't think we should pay Turkey any more tax money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like our status being such. And then while the rest of Europe was maybe thinking, maybe we could coordinate a crusade, What if we all got together and then Vlad jumps the gun and says, I'm already doing it. I'm gone. And he takes him and 40,000 people and literally just starts butchering everyone south of Romania. He goes into Bulgaria and he just starts burning villages. He writes a note to, I think it was the Pope at the time, saying, just so you know, I'm already gone. I've already destroyed countless villages, quote, killing all the men, women, and children in them.
Jesus Christ.
And it's just, like, that's all he did. And then he got squashed by a bunch of Turks.
Well, why did he do it? Like, was he angry at them? Didn't it have something to do with daddy issues? Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's something you notice with a lot of historical monarchs that are shitheads, is that they all have horrific cases of daddy issues. Ivan the Terrible hated his dad.
Oh, God, yeah.
He loved mercury, though. That was
yeah.
He would, like, I think he either drank mercury or, like, washed in mercury or something.
Mm-hmm.
But he would do it to treat his back pain, and that's part of the reason he went goddamn crazy.
Yeah, he used it for his back pain. And with his dad was like, maybe so we don't get killed by a bunch of Turkish people, you're just going to live with them for a while. I'm just going to
They handed him over to the Turks as sort of a hostage type thing.
Yeah, literally.
The Theon Greyjoy from Game of Thrones type thing.
Exactly, yeah. And
they're both complete pricks.
Exactly.
Just like Theon Greyjoy. Maybe prick is the wrong choice of words given what Ramsay did.
Oh, yeah, that was the dude who got, yeah.
Yeah. But,
whoops. Ouch.
Yeah, but Vlad the Impaler, he just loved killing.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird too because he had this like very clear understanding of like Turkey and the Turkish language and the Quran and everything because he was forced to learn Turkish fluently and study the Quran while
just Ivan the Terrible or Vlad the Impaler?
Oh, Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah.
And so he used that like he was some kind of sleeper cell agent when he just started tearing up things.
Oh, shit. Yeah, there's something, I don't know what it is, but for some reason there's just so many insane people like this throughout history, like Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
There was a tremendous amount of evidence to suggest that this is part of the reason he had that silly-ass mustache. It's because you get a better seal on the gas mask that way. Because he was a World War I veteran, and he was gassed during the First World War, so that's part of the reason he might have been a goddamn maniac, is because part of it was just regular old anti-Semitism, but he was genuinely mentally ill, and that might have been as a result of a gas attack during the First World War.
Yeah, that's fair. Gas attack, and I think his dad also probably... Wasn't his dad not too great a person to him as well?
I haven't the slightest clue, but I don't know. There's a really good Roald Dahl book about that, about Adolf Hitler and how it starts out, and it's basically this person, the mother is having a kid, the other two kids all died in their infancy, it sets up the time frame and everything, and at the end of the book there's this terrific plot twist, which is that the kid who is centered around, this story is centered around is Adolf Hitler.
Oh,
and the douchebag dad, and you end up rooting for him a lot because he has kind of a tragic backstory, and then it's revealed, oh, he was Hitler the whole time. There's like subtle clues, like, yeah, he's German, he had some siblings die, his mother's Jewish, dad's a douche.
Fought in a war, was a vegetarian, liked painting.
Well, toughing paint.
Yeah, probably.
He's just over there like, this red paint tastes like red.
Yes. Something about the yellow color, the smell of this yellow paint reminds me of the smell of the chlorine gas as it's destroying my lungs.
Have you ever seen Glorious Bastards? That movie was fantastic. Yes. I loved how Quentin Tarantino played Adolf Hitler himself. He looks nothing like Hitler.
Yeah, he looks like this short, kind of goblin-y, Spanishy dude.
Well, Quentin Tarantino's like short, fat, and has male pattern baldness. Hitler had like a full head of hair, I think.
Yeah.
Was in fairly good shape. Was fairly tall. Like, he was a charismatic, good-looking guy.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino looks like a troll that lives under a bridge.
Yeah, and he acts like one, too.
He does.
Have you ever seen, like, there's, like, videos that people have of just, like cell phone videos just taping Quentin Tarantino as he comes storming out of it, like, a Denny's to come, like, yell this person out for the great crime of recording him in a public space.
Oh
It's
God!
insane.
It's like there's some actors. At a certain point, you have to wonder if they keep them around, like Harvey Weinstein, Louis C.K. These other Louis C.K. is a less pertinent example of this. How it's sort of we don't like him, but damn, is he good?
Yeah.
It's
Oh
like-
man, Louis C.K. is one of those disappointing examples. I mean, I guess no one got seriously hurt.
No one really got hurt at all, but
Yeah.
it's just creepy.
Yeah,
like it's when you
creepy.
figure out that this person's shtick is actually real.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if Jim Jeffries, he always jokes about being a misogynist and whatnot, and it turns out he actually beats his girlfriend or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Jim Jeffries.
Sometimes the juxtaposition is the funniest bit. Like Bill Cosby, this clean comedian, he would always, like, the part of the reason he was so successful is they could have him at any venue, even when more children were present.
Yeah.
Because he was a clean comic. Oh, I'm gonna just put a little roofie in your drink and you're gonna wake up and not know what happened. No, scoobity bobbity bobbity boo.
Put the little simple sound.
Oh God, Bill Cosby.
Jesus.
That was so disappointing when that happened.
I think that was like one of the craziest things I'd heard
It's
at the time
like-
is like 56 people. 56? A human being can.
That's-
56 people? in
That's
one
half
night?
100.
Yeah. That's like. In a year, that's like what? One every week?
Basically. It's kind of amusing because when you consider that Bill Cosby, assuming they're true, would make him arguably the most prolific serial rapist in all of American history.
Yeah.
The only other people who compete with him are like these plantation owners and whatnot
Exactly.
from
yeah.
the oldie days.
They had the unfair disadvantage that they
Owned people.
Yeah, that they owned people.
Bill Cosby didn't own anyone. He just owned roofies.
Honestly, yeah, he was his only leg up on the plantation owners.
Ricky Gervais had this terrific thing where he was talking about how this comedian is so funny that after you watch Bill Cosby, you're going to be sleeping.
Jesus Christ.
He says horrific things to these celebrities, like he's making fun. It's not like a playful jab, like he was making fun of Mel Gibson maliciously when he accepted his Oscar for Hacksaw Ridge, like making fun of his alcoholism and his domestic abuse and whatnot. Just berating him for being an alcoholic.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais is a lot more brutal than I thought he was.
He's
honestly.
sort of this like cute, chubby Brit, and he has a nice accent and all. And you realize that he's just a monster.
God, yeah, he grabs the mic. I remember he had this bit about like taking an autistic kid out gambling because he thought he'd be like Rain Man, and then takes him back. And he's like, he's broken. He got the wrong kind of autistic kid.
There's one bit about he's playing the perspective of like a daughter or a dad, and his daughter is telling him how she was molested. And the end of the bit is like he took his thing out,
Oh yeah.
and then he put it back in, and he walked away, and he pretends to be jerking off and says, "We'll make something up.
Yeah. We'll make
Don't get me started, you tease."
Yeah. It's just so. It's like it's like Carlin levels of irreverence to make a joke like that.
Yeah, think about George Carlin. He had some great bits, but it was shocking because it was like the 7 curse words you can't say on television, and he said them all,
Yeah.
and he wasn't allowed to.
Yeah, and he went through the 7+ list as well. He just kept on going.
It's like, we can't stop him. There's like a bunch of people here. They think he's really funny.
Yeah, we can't. He said it too fast to pull the cord on the recording station. We just broadcasted that live.
Or what was it? It was like, you can't joke about rape. Rape isn't funny. And then he says, "Fuck you, I think it's hilarious."
Jeez, yeah.
There are so many comedians that I just find terrific, but it's almost been watered down to a certain point. Because, no matter how many times Jim Jeffries, says horrific things about, him being a cokehead and having a coke problem, or hitting his girlfriend and being misogynistic,
Yeah.
it's never going to be quite as shocking as when he just went up on stage and started calling religious people damn cunts, because he's Australian. And no one was allowed to say that at the time.
Yeah,
He
that's
just
true.
kept saying it at every one of his shows. And eventually they're like, we can't not let him. He's Australian. That's almost discrimination.
They're basically like another race.
He's just such a terrific Australian stereotype.
Oh my God.
Like one of his comedy specials is called Alcoholocaust.
Jesus Christ.
And he just gets progressively more shit-faced throughout the special.
Good God.
Or he was joking about how he has a coke problem, but he actually does have a coke problem.
Yeah. Because he brings beer with him up on stage
absolutely.
instead of water like
He
everyone
does.
else does.
Like they have those 4 bottles of water that are always on the stool so you can so you don't get cotton mouth. He brings beer.
Yeah.
That's another one, Mad Max. I feel like they should have included him as like a henchman in Mad Max or something. It would have been terrific.
Jim Jeffries playing himself in the post-apocalypse, doing the same thing he did before.
He just looks like he already does.
Yeah.
He's got that graying hair, makes him look a bit like a skunk. Or when he was on an Israeli talk show and they had him on for like a 10-minute segment, they bring out a beer, it's like, hey, look at this, I'm just like you, Jim Jeffries. He drinks the entire thing. It's like an enormous pint glass of like Israeli beer, so like, I don't know, Oive beer or...
Yeah, Malag beer or something like that.
You gotta get the huzz right.
The hat.
We use fermented bagels in with the beer to give it a nice fermented taste.
I put hummus on my beer. I mix the hummus in to keep away the Palestinians.
Oh God, that's fantastic! And he's drinking this thing. It was another Mad Max. He got me talking about beer. In Mad Max, they didn't pay the people very much. So like for the bikers, the first Mad Max had a budget of around $300,000 because George Willer just saved up because he was an ER tech.
Oh.
It was out of pocket. He didn't get a loan. He just saved up a bunch of money.
Damn, I didn't know that he was all out of pocket.
Yeah, it was all out of pocket, like $300,000. And they had a bunch of bikers, and they were like, we can't pay these people. They want money. We can't pay them, and they're bikers. They're very scary. They're going to ruin the production. So they paid them in beer. They paid them in beer. They would give them, whenever they needed to rent a prop for the movie, they would give them a case of Foster's in return, which is like the Australian version of Lucky.
Wow.
They would pay them all in beer. All the vehicles were rented in beer. It's just fantastic. And I love how the bikers that they used in the movie were actual bikers.
Jesus, really?
They just it was a branch of the Hells Angels. They didn't even get them to act most of the time. Almost all their lines were ad-libbed.
Jesus Christ. It was all shot in Australia?
It was shot in Australia. He went if they needed signs, they'd steal them.
Really?
If they needed a prop, they'd steal it and give it back.
Funny Australian production for you. We pay him in beer. Steal the signs.
Oh, God, that's fantastic. Australia really does seem like a great country.
I mean, it's like, there's a few pretty spots in Australia, but it's just like...
3% of the population lives more than, 20 miles off the coast.
Yeah.
Almost all of the population lives in, Sydney, Melbourne, Queensland, this small little inner chunk of Australia. Then you have the outback, where there's no water, because it's friggin' Australia. There's no water there.
There's just nothing.
It's an actual desert.
Mm-hmm.
And how that's where 3% of the population lives, and
you wonder how.
You do. I feel like it's mostly indigenous populations, but where do they get the water? There's 1 day of precipitation a year. Drinking roo blood. Oi, we don't need water. We just drink the blood of the roo, mix it with some Foster, gets you fucked up real quick.
Well, you drink some blood, you put the blood in a bucket with some, rest of the entrails rot, and it just starts rotting. Drink the rot.
Hey, half of the rot gas too. Gives you a nice high. It's like having a coke problem.
Except minus the coke. Except far more available, far more cheap.
A lot of vitamins.
I think part of, that's another thing too, actually, is, isn't Australia
It's like low-class Britain, because that's what it was. It was a British slave colony. Or not slave colony, prison colony, rather. It's like how Ireland and Glasgow are often sort of derided by Britain. They were also prison colonies at one point or another.
Yeah.
I don't know Ireland, but I know Glasgow was originally a prison colony.
Oh.
Sort of explains the,
the Glaswegian attitude.
Like, one of the worst things you can be there is a student. You're a student. They'll deride you if you go to school. Like, the earlier you quit school, the better.
You're a fucking student. You come up here, you're trying to study. What do you think you're better than us? Wandering around, blasted out of our mind, stabbing each other in the streets while Sheila's out tearing the hair out of the other mates' Sheila's.
Just stab them in the chest with a broken liquor bottle, not before they drink the liquor.
Yeah. If you try hard enough, you can kind of get the angle right. It's like, what was it? There's this Anthony Bourdain has this show where he kind of like goes around a different place.
Oh, An Idiot Abroad.
Yeah, or no, not Idiot Abroad. It's Anthony Bourdain. I forget what the show is called, but he kind of goes around to different places, tries out the cuisine, checks out the local cultures and stuff, etc., etc. He goes to Glasgow, and of course, like, they have to have a 10-minute bit on knife fighting, and he goes to this one dude who's just like, his whole thing is how to protect yourself from someone with a knife. Like, that's what he teaches, because apparently that's just such a major thing in Glasgow, is just getting stabbed.
That's how you know that these people don't fuck around, is because the word glass, bottle, and knife are all verbs.
Yeah.
None of them are used in reference to the noun. It's used when they say knife, they mean stabbing you. When they say glass, you mean it's when you get a pint glass shattered on your skull.
Yeah.
It's like how bikers use the word door as a verb when somebody opens the door as you're driving by. Well, they use it for broken bottlenecks.
Yeah. And they also have, like, the Glaswegian smile, too, which is just like the Joker smile, except, I guess, they probably actually do it to people.
They've got, like, more toes than they have teeth.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
Oh, Conor O'Malley, oh, Harry O'Hire, you've lost your teeth. It's in the pint glass. They fell out.
Christ, look at him. He's still got a shard sticking out his cheek. He hasn't noticed it yet.
I like the prospect of there being just one Irish person with a shard of glass that he never had removed in his skull.
Yeah. just always goes to the same bar. No one ever says anything.
He's had that in there for a while. You'd think he'd shave it down. If he hits his head on that, he's going to die.
Oh, jeez, it's starting to get a bit moldy. I'm not sure. Do you have to Windex it? I don't know.
Oh, God. There's just so many places with people that are so make-funnable.
That's true. There's a lot of... And especially when places are just, like... Places that are only known for, like, one or two things, and none of them are good, just tend to be, like...
It depends on what circle you travel in. Like, for me, the only thing I know about Zimbabwe is that I could do a very bad Zimbabwean accent, and I like to make jokes about them drinking AIDS blood and raping virgins so as to cure their AIDS. It's mostly just centered around AIDS.
Yeah.
I'll, like, play myself in these jokes that I'm somebody they've captured and they're going to cut my hand off because their friend Magumba has a bad case of AIDS and he needs a drink of my albino blood.
Yeah.
Like, hold on, albino, I just come from Canada. The albinos in the world.
This is the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Or how Ireland is mainly just known for drinking.
God, the first thing I saw when I got into Dublin, I was in Dublin like 2 years ago, and one of the first things that I see going out after getting into our hotel, getting situated, okay, let's go to the town of Dublin. We're crossing this bridge, and this drunk stumbles across the street, almost gets hit by a car. He's this very Irish drunk-looking dude, right? Like, he's got, like, short, stubbly, kind of balding hair.
He's got, like, a kilt. That silly-ass hat with the pom-pom on the top.
God, he's just got, like, this big coat on. He looks like something from a dude from Train Spotting or something depressing.
He looks almost like a sex offender. He's got the open coat and the kilt.
I don't think he could be coherent enough to be one. And he goes...
Come here, kid.
Come here, right. And it was just like the thickest Irish accent too. And he stumbles across the road. He almost gets hit by a car. He doesn't turn his head to look at the car that almost hits him. He just continues looking down, gets across the street, looks up, and me and my sisters and my mother are there.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my two sisters. And we're all standing there. He's standing in front of us, and then he just kind of looks in a direction, starts walking, goes, "Huh, women drivers." And he just didn't even look at the person who almost hit him, too.
You have
It's
to
quite something.
You have to bet that this guy, you have to bet that he drives drunk all the time. Like, he has no room to talk. Like, Janet O'Malley, you ride cows while shit-faced all the time.
Yeah, it was just so absurd. Like, this whole man's life must just be stumbling from bridge to bridge, bar to bar, somehow getting money.
Oh, God, and yet the Irish, they're just so proud of themselves.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you have nothing to be proud of. Y'all are drunks.
It's like in Irish, the rite of passage is leaving Ireland and going to America or something, where all the other Irish people go.
Yeah, like Ireland's chief export is Irish people.
Yeah. What is it? There's like 60 million people in the world who identify as Irish descent or a part of the Irish diaspora.
There's like 4 million Irish people.
Yeah, there's only 6 million people in Ireland. So there's 10 times as many people outside of Ireland claiming they're Irish than there are people in Ireland.
Oh, I'm a proper Irishman. You were born in Connecticut, Tom. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Oh, I was born in Vancouver Island, Victoria. I come from a line of Irish descended people. No, you don't. You bastard. You've grown up with 3 generations of Burtons, one of whom came from Ireland.
He wouldn't even came from Ireland. Irish. It's just a guy in a pub they slept with who might be the kid's dad.
Exactly. It's like, for all you know, your parents came from Scotland and they just forgot.
I always use the fact that I have a friend. His name is Liam Harrop.
Harrop.
His name is Liam Harrop. His brother's name is Declan, and his father's name is Kieran. They are very Irish. Just use that to justify shitting on the Irish all the time. And I think I'm like 1/16th Irish or something.
Jesus.
That sounds like something like William, Kieran, and Declan. Those are the most Irish names ever.
Yeah, you really don't get like too much more I'm from the Isles than that right there.
Oh God, it's like if some guy's name is Spud McKenzie or something. Like, no, you're not. Spud McTater.
Guinness Matater.
Or Conor McGregor.
Jesus.
As an actual person.
Yeah. Fighting Floyd Mayweather, our Lord and Savior.
He got into like a scuffle with a mobster, so he's trying to get his wife, and his baby out of Ireland. Because he got into a spat with a mobster because a mobster beat up his friend. Someone was making jokes about how they don't want to see the movie The Irishman with, I think it's like Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese directing. They want to see Conor McGregor go up against a gang of Irish people. Which sounds like it would be just terrific to see that.
I'd like to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like that kind of happens. Like, that's
just like take it out with a series of lefts.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's just like Sunday night at the Irish UFC club. They're just like, and now Conor McGregor versus anyone. If you beat him, you get $200,000. $20 entrance fee.
And 2 belts.
Yeah, 2 belts. There's just a line of drunks lining up to fight Conor McGregor and just get this pile, this ever-growing mountain of knocked out drunks.
All you see is like white skin and orange hair.
Oh, man.
Oh God! And then I love this scene from it's Our Brothers Grimsby. It's Sacha Baron Cohen, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, and Mark Strong is the guy who played Merlin in whatchamacallit, Kingsman. And at one point he has to take down this room of thugs, so he gets a pint, or no, not a pint glass, that weird concave glass that you use. It's sort of like an oval shape with the little divots all around it. He gets one of you would see a beer in, and he puts one of those in each hand and starts smacking them. with glasses.
Jesus Christ. Oh man.
Yeah. What were you in Ireland for?
We were just going there for part of like a summer trip, just because we thought it'd be a cool place to check out, and like it was pretty interesting there. It was pretty decent, but like the weather is quite something. Ireland is just perpetually raining.
Exactly. That's why there's just so many drinkers that just get into a pub and get shit-faced.
Yeah, like to the extent that I almost think that like Irish people, they need a certain level of humidity, otherwise they just like shrivel up and die like an amphibian left out of the water for too long.
Oh god, it's like, have you ever seen a frog get dried out? I had my grandfather, he was a real douche, and he used to call my uncle, just my uncle, he used to call him Toad.
Oh, Jesus.
And one time, my mother's family, so, uncles, aunts, and whatnot, they're walking down by the lake, and they see a toad that's getting eaten by a snake. And my uncle starts freaking out, and he's hysterical at the prospect of one of his kin being eaten by a snake.
Jesus Christ. Because he was called Toad, he was freaking out that an actual toad was being eaten?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oof.
Yeah. It is a strange family.
Wow, and that's on your
mom's side.
Whoa.
My dad's side, one time he was a cyclist in Victoria, but he came from Hornby, where you don't wear helmets at all. It's part of the reason when he came to Victoria, he'd been here for a couple weeks and got doored almost instantly, because it had never occurred to him that somebody might open their door as they're going by.
Jesus, yeah.
Anyway, and he didn't have a helmet on, because he didn't own a helmet, because he didn't need one.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't think
he needed one, yeah.
Didn't need a helmet. And so this police officer was like, "Hey, I'll cut you some slack. If you give me a receipt for a helmet and bring the helmet in, I'll get rid of the ticket," because it was like a ticket for like $150 because it was surprisingly expensive for ticket charges for not wearing a helmet. Yeah. And then he sees that his surname is Trimble, and my uncle West Trimble. That's part of the reason I think I'm Irish is because Trimble is an Irish surname, and his uncle or some member of his family, West Trimble, is like this weird criminal maniac dude, and he shows him a cover of Times magazine where it's him standing outside of a boat surrounded by hash. And he's not a police officer. That was his hash that he was apparently smuggling. Or how the neighbors had to start filling because he would steal gasoline for money and sell it. So the neighbors had to put sugar or corn syrup in their gas tank so that when he would put the gas in his truck, it would corrode the engine.
Oh, Jesus.
It's just this strange family.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. There are a lot of... My mom's a foster parent, so I have a lot of weird foster siblings. They do some weird things. Like one of them pooped in the yard.
Oh.
Yeah. One of them just pooped in the yard.
Jesus.
It's just I'm surrounded by kids on a constant basis with like horrific speech impediments or like their parents are in and out of jail. It's kind of funny, but in a sad sort of way.
Yeah, that sounds a little rocky.
It sounds rocky, but it's kind of fun. I'm sort of at the outside looking in. Like it's if you've ever seen a gorilla beat another gorilla to death, and you're sort of like, wow, it sure would suck to be the gorilla. That's what my thought is. Like, yeah, it sure would suck to be them. I'm not.
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
Yeah. Remember that video David Attenborough's narrating as the gorilla is just...
Oh, God, yeah, the Planet Earth documentary.
So David Attenborough narrating in his slow, whistly-esque voice as the gorillas beat each other to death.
Yeah, and the creepiest part about that was after the gorillas had like beaten half of the other gorillas to death, right?
Mm-hmm.
He just goes, and for reasons scientists don't completely understand, they began devouring the baby gorilla.
I think I saw this clip. And I remember hearing about this in a debate. Somebody said, it was like a debate about veganism, and somebody said, no. Animals are biologically incapable of acts of cruelty. They don't have the mental capacity for malice. And one of them just starts playing the video of the gorilla talking about how it's eating the other one's baby while it's alive. Like, they're very capable of malice.
Yeah, they're horrible creatures. Just chimpanzees, baboons, like gorillas. They're smart creatures, but that doesn't mean that they're nice creatures. They're awful. It's like
It's almost like the capacity for violence. Like, humans recognize that we're not on the top of the food chain, so it's not in our best interest to kill each other all the time.
Yeah.
Gorillas are, so it's like, what are you gonna do? Hit me back? There's no gorilla police.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm bigger than he is, and I've got all the gorilla bitches.
So, from my point of view, I can beat anyone in front of me to death, and thus I am king.
King of the gorillas. Gorillas are goddamn terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
I remember it was in the same debate, someone mentioned, like, artificial insemination of animals is rape. And then somebody wisely pointed out that gorillas and chimpanzees, their species is propagated almost entirely on rape.
That's true, yeah.
That is the only way they reproduce.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think orangutans are the only exception where they're just constantly screwing each other. That partially has to do with the inability to recognize lines of paternity.
Right.
It's the same thing dolphins do, where the female dolphins will constantly have dolphin sex with all the other ones, because the male dolphins can't recognize paternity, so they just sort of assume that, like, this one's they just assume that they're related to it, so that the male dolphin doesn't kill the baby, because they will.
Oh, shit.
It's the same thing, marine animals. Humans are the nicest animals on the planet.
That's
true, we're still horrible.
That's true, yeah. The only other creature which is, like, decent to me is the orangutan.
Yeah, they're, like, cute and cuddly. But human beings are cute and cuddly relative to chimps, and yet we still kill each other all the time.
Yeah, the only thing is we can't bite someone's face off, unlike a chimpanzee. Well, I mean, I guess you just haven't tried hard enough. But
there was one guy in Miami who disagrees.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember that?
The bath salts, dude. Yeah, just going out of his mind. Just like the headline, man eats a homeless man's face while on bath salts.
That sounds like something a Floridian would do.
Yeah, it's just the most mind-boggling thing to hear. It's like something you hear in like a novel. It's like not real.
It's like, no, he didn't do that. And then you see the guy, his face is all scarred because he ate it. It's like, he did do that.
And it's like he couldn't have eaten his face. He like bit him on like
bit his nose
or his nose or something. It's like, no, he literally was eating his face. It's like I can't even imagine that.
Mm-hmm. He just ate the entire face. Funny thing is, the guy wasn't on bath salts. He was just crazy.
Oh, I thought he was on bath salts.
No, that was part of the thing that people were just at arms or going crazy about this bath salts thing. Like, bath salts, these are dangerous. Don't ever do bath salts. They're going to kill you. Turns out the guy wasn't on bath salts. He was just
decided, I could either go into Domino's or Panago.
I'm hungry. Roast beef face.
Yeah, roast face. Sounds good to me.
And it's all raw. That was horrific just to see people. So there was those people who think that it was a zombie.
Oh, God. That's just so bizarre.
Because they had to shoot him like a dozen times because he just wouldn't stop gnawing on him, and they couldn't shoot him in the head because he was still gnawing on the guy.
Mm-hmm. It's just so insane.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when like they have to like shoot a dude 12 times. It's like...
People die because they get shot once.
Yeah. And then
there are tons of stories you hear of somebody who like misfires a gun that gets their leg in their femoral artery, and they die. Remember there was one video I saw of a guy, it was sort of, I think it was on the Reddit Macabre Reality, and he's doing his quick draw, and he pulls the gun out of his holster, shoots himself in the femoral artery, and then the video ends and he's driving home, and then it later reveals that he died on the way to the hospital.
Oh, shit.
Because he was working on his quick draw.
Bloody hell.
He's just trying to go for let's see how fast I can do it. I don't know how fast I can do it, but I'm going to try. Oh, shit, my leg! My leg's bleeding everywhere.
Oh, 1 and 2 and 3. Oh, shit. Yeah, and it's like the people who go down in 12 shots is why American police freak out at anything, and they always say that he was going to kill me. He was going to kill me.
Oh, God.
I need to shoot him 18 times.
I remember there was this thing that showed why NYPD have horrific aim. They can't aim for shit. They're terrible. Oh, yeah, they're terrible. they're terrific when it comes to aiming. They can't aim for shit. Their pistols have a 12-pound trigger pull.
What?
Which means you're using your index finger. Which means there's tons of videos I see of these NYPD cops, both hands. It's like if you ever had a bad dream where you need to shoot something and you're squeezing as hard as you can. It's like there are kettlebells that weigh that much.
Yeah.
They're like working on getting like a ripped bicep. Meanwhile, these guys have index fingers that are like calloused or whatnot.
Yeah, trying to pull a trigger.
This guy's poor wife has to sit on a bag of frozen peas all the time.
Jesus Christ. Yes, why would they have a 12-pound trigger pull?
Well, it wasn't. They killed some guy, and they said it was like an accidental discharge, and it was might have been during Giuliani's tenure as mayor. So they were like, well, shit, we have to make a heavier trigger pull, because if you're having people holding guns with their finger over the trigger, like a friggin' amateur, you're not supposed to have it unless you want to shoot them.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they decided, yeah, let's increase the weight of the trigger pull to 12 pounds so you can't aim.
It's so insane.
It's like sniper rifles have it of like less than an ounce to where you just have to touch the trigger to get it to fire off because you need to be accurate. Meanwhile, this is like lifting a kettlebell with your index finger.
This you have to like put your shoulder into it almost.
You just get a stick, put it in there, hold your thumbs against the back, and just sort of pry it closed.
Yeah, you have to.
I'll hold the gun, and you two pull the trigger at the same time.
Yeah, it's like firing a bloody catapult. You have to like pull the lever down in order to fire the damn thing.
Oh God, American police. They're a strange organization.
Oh man, there's just too much wrong with it. There's just too much. It's like they're just so underpaid, poorly trained, undisciplined. There's just
it's mostly made up of military flunkouts.
Yeah, military flunkouts. Even some veterans who finish like a tour or two and then are like, well,
you're basically guaranteed a job. Basic is how it ends. It's like, yeah, you're a veteran. What are we gonna do? Not give you a job? Yeah, you don't need to be qualified. All we're doing is, protecting the public on paper.
Yeah, and then you have these people who are like trained to, fire when they see a human silhouette, to fire before they can even feel bad about it.
Yep.
It's like...
I don't even know if it's a person. Somebody just pulls out some cardboard cutout of Donald Trump, like...
Yeah, literally, it's...
Oh shit, I shot the president! He's bleeding orange blood!
Oh Jesus, now it's turning green and exposure to the oxygen. Oh, this is really wicked. He's dissolving like the Wicked Witch of the West. Oh, jeez.
I think you might be on bath salts. It's dissolving, which is what happens when you do bath salts, so I've heard.
Well, all I heard in my police academy is that bath salts will give you superpowers. So naturally, I had to shoot him 42 times in the head. I'm sorry, you had to reload and continue firing. Yep. Yes, sir.
You had to borrow another officer's gun. Yeah. What was I gonna do? Not kill him?
I had to go rent a rifle after he was down. I had to go rent a rifle. Yes, sir. And
they don't get paid much. It seems like an incredibly taxing job.
It would be.
Like, to have a job where, police never give up, that's sort of a problem, is that no matter how long a suspect leads them on the chase, they'll never stop chasing them. Mm-hmm. They'll never stop going after them. And I feel like it's just a job where you feel the need to win, or how they compare the amount of arrests they get.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I got 6 arrests this week. No, you didn't. You arrested 6 people. None of them were guilty.
Yeah, and they all walked out the next day.
It's like you just arrested them for parking violations.
Mm-hmm. And, these people, unfortunately for cops, it's like, it's a tough job because you have to routinely deal with the most unsavory elements of society. And
you get made fun of constantly, like a job. Like, teachers get a lot of shit from teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, at least you're a teacher. At the end of the day, it's like, yeah, keep talking smack. You're going to fail, and you're going to be stuck with me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I'll fail your ass. With a cop, their equivalent of failing you is shooting you.
Yeah, shooting you, like slamming your head into the ground or something, booking you.
Pulling a Rodney King and just beating them mercilessly.
God, yeah.
Yeah. And the problem is that they just get mocked and derided so constantly. Mm-hmm. Get derided when you're supposed to be the perfect example of what an American should be And then have people constantly talking smack probably doesn't do you any favors.
Yeah, and it's like you're supposed to. It's like even for people who respect the police in America, if you were to say take a list of people who dislike the police, respect the police, and then like or respect the
Indifference,
police,
basically. Like,
yeah, it's like probably far more people respect the police than any of them actually like them. Like no one,
that's
people
the thing.
appreciate in quotes, what the cops do in terms
I
of
feel like
managing
a lot of
society.
people have started disliking the cops based on your politics.
Mhm.
Like liberals perceive the cops to be fascist, racist, evil pigs who kill black people mercilessly, and then conservatives perceive them to be fascist thugs who will steal your money, they'll make you pay absurd amounts of money in parking tickets. Sort of goes against the idea of a small government. So it's a lose-lose situation, and you're sort of also stuck enforcing laws no one wants around.
Yeah, exactly. You have to enforce laws that probably you might not even agree with, that people you're enforcing them against certainly don't agree with.
Plus, it's just also the fact that they can never lose. Like, I've seen so many arguments with police officers where the cop will be in the wrong. Like, any video that involves motorcycling or someone having a GoPro on their helmet or piloting of any kind will always be like, you're breaking law X, Y, and Z. You're not supposed to do this. This is private property. And the person will explain how what they're doing is perfectly legal. And it's sort of this feeling of, oh, no, you didn't.
Yeah, they don't like having their authority challenged.
It's like the prospect of challenging their authority is insubordination to them, even if it's justified. Like, no, I wasn't breaking any laws, I have a permit to be here, type thing.
Yeah. It's just the wrong combination of factors go into creating this really kind of messed up police force that America
And part of it
has
has to do with the fact that I feel like you almost grow disillusioned. Like, it's the part of the reason that the military has so few people signing up for it anymore, is because you just sort of grow disillusioned at a certain point with the military. Like, because soldiers, the average IQ is dropped drastically for soldiers. It was marked by the Vietnam War around the time that it came to light that the Gulf of Tonkin might not have actually happened, and that they sunk an imaginary warship. And then you have the Iraq War, which was centered on a lie about WMDs that no one had. So it's sort of assumed, oh yeah, this is just, being a soldier. That just means you're a slave to the government, or you go to fight a war that we have no part of.
Yeah, there's a lot less,
Which is why the only people you see enlisting for the military are these dumb, good old boy patriots.
Yeah, there's a lot of, being in the military doesn't have the same effect or appeal as it used to, especially in the 40s or something.
Yeah.
Where it's all about, it's not just purely about, service to your nation, but the fact that you're actually protecting your country, you're doing your part. I don't think, a lot of people say, the American military is protecting their country.
No.
By fighting, and it's like, I really don't think that, many lives in America are getting saved by people fighting in the Middle East. I'm not sure how many people really believe that, and I feel like it kind of takes
costs
away
more. I mean, if George Bush were to have not gotten involved during the Iraq War, there would be less Americans dead, because tons of people, if you're fighting a war, you die. Some of you are gonna die in the process. Yeah.
And just with something so grueling and long, and no one, the general public really, doesn't even know why they're there anymore. It just almost feels pointless. It feels like a fallback job to go into the military.
Yeah, it's kind of like when somebody says, oh yeah, I'll probably end up at community college. No, you won't. You're going to end up giving sad hand jobs for a nickel under the Johnson Street Bridge.
or something to that effect.
Pretty much. It's like, no, this is just, it's sort of this, there's very few afterwards in the military, because in order to be some sort of an officer, you have to be smart, and a lot of soldiers are idiots. It's part of the reason that you see, there are so many videos on YouTube of soldier fails, soldiers who pull the pin on a grenade and don't throw it far enough, or they shoot a rocket launcher and blow up someone else's car.
Yeah.
Just shoot themselves accidentally.
Yeah, it's quite the.
It's like your purpose in life is specifically centered around being a grunt. Like, grunt work is the perfect job for you, and you can't do anything else because you're not qualified.
Yeah, and with like the economy, generally people used to have tons of avenues to go down, for like a general living wage kind of thing in terms of like being able to exist on the fringes of the economy and
Mm-hmm.
still support themselves and a family and all that. But now it's like if you don't have too much opportunity, if you don't have, if you can't get into a community college, a university, et cetera, or
Something
you
like
don't
this.
really want to, you don't feel like you have the motivation or direction to, then the way you go to is the military.
It's kind of like the standards have slowly begun to go down over time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
originally, the military was a career for the top 1% of society. That was where you went, the military. Now, it's sort of the STEM fields that are getting that, and the military, as a result, is getting a lot of idiots. Part of it also has to do with the fact that the United States has an enormous army, and you
Mm-hmm.
can't staff an enormous army entirely with smart people. A few dum-dums
No,
are going to
yeah.
work their way in.
Yeah, and like a lot of their jobs don't necessarily require too much like, specialized high education kind of
Mm-hmm.
work. But even then it's like
I feel like being in the
just
Air Force is probably the best situation you're in, because then you can get a career as a pilot of some kind.
yeah, Air Force is if you can be in the Air Force or probably the Navy too. I mean, I guess it's probably better to be an officer in the Navy. I think probably most people in the Navy are officers of some kind.
Yeah.
Just because it's a lot of like specialized working with equipment kind of jobs.
And again, there's not a lot of jobs during non-war times.
Yeah, there's
Like,
specifically with the skills involved in these kind
like
of
people
things.
always want to be pilots. Like, yeah, I'm gonna fly an Apache chopper and blow those Hajis to bits. And in actual fact, what they really do is they fly it, then they realize that there's a dozen other people who want the same position who are all more qualified, so they end up flying a cargo plane.
Yeah, yeah, they fly for like Shanghai Air or something or wherever they can get the work to fly.
But they still insist on being addressed as captain. Like, yeah, I'm captain to you. No, you're not. You're a sky bus driver.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of where you get the like
You still wear that high and tight haircut. Like, no.
the stereotype of like some old dude with like a straggly beard insists on being called captain, drives some dinky plane that shouldn't be flying anymore because it's just too old and unsafe. Insists that he's
Or he's had this dog that was with him since the Vietnam War. It's like, no, it's not. It's clearly not that old.
Yeah, it's a different dog every 2 months because he loses it in some other country.
I lost it during Nam. What? No, you didn't.
When were you born, sir? 1980. Oh, okay, sure. Yep.
I love this
Take
show.
your word for it.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. One of the characters was shitting on Hillary Clinton and how she wants to take our freedom. This was during, I think, it was prior to the 2008 election.
Oh.
This is quite some time ago.
Whoa.
And how he didn't go to NAM so that they could take away, they being politicians or something, or no, I think it was so that bitches like her could take away my freedom. Then his daughter chimes in, you went to Vietnam in the 90s to start a sweatshop.
You went to be in the 90s.
He's played by Danny DeVito, so he's like 4'11". He's he's clearly not going to be in any military regiment. He's just too small.
Yeah. Danny DeVito's character is so good. I love Danny DeVito.
And It's Always Sunny.
Yeah.
Frank Reynolds is so... I love all the characters in It's Always Sunny and how they're like the anti-sitcom tropes. Like you have Dee, who's the female character, almost the voice of Reeveson. She just gets shit on constantly and is a complete sack of garbage. Dennis is sort of like a Barney Stinson, ladies' man type thing. He's a serial killer and probably a rapist. Frank Reynolds is the frugal businessman who wants to rediscover his youth. He lives in a dumpster. He has sex in a dumpster, eats hoagies,
Yeah, is the
and bangs whores.
Voice. Calls himself the Trash Man as his on-stage personality.
The
Trash Man. I eat garbage.
Or how he addresses himself as a doctor. His doctor name is Mantis Toboggan, MD.
Mantis Toboggan.
Or Charlie's just this sort of stereotypical idiot, but he was the result of a failed abortion, and his mother's a prostitute.
Jesus Christ.
Frank is probably his dad.
Jesus Christ.
So they get these terrific sitcom tropes and twist them on their head and take them to their extreme. Her gay Mac. How he's slowly gotten more and more gay throughout the series.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I've only seen like so many. I've only seen like a few episodes.
It's been going since like 2003. That's part of the reason they
really.
It seems strange that they were making fun of Hillary Clinton, because this was after the. His is sort of between elections.
2000, bloody hell.
Yeah. Charlie and the waitress, or a lot of the cast members are married, believe it or not. Mac and, whatchamacallit, Dee, they're Caitlin Olsen and Rob McElhenney, they're married. Charlie married the girl who played the waitress. And it all starts out that they're like graduated from college in terms of like when they started the show, and now they're all in their 40s.
Oh shit. They're all in their 40s?
Frank is almost 80.
Jesus, Danny DeVito's almost 80.
He's so old, his hair is completely white. They have to dye it before every shoot.
Jesus.
Oh, that scene when he's wearing the skinny jeans and he's talking about how he likes them and they make him feel sexy, and it's Danny DeVito with his barrel upper body and tiny little legs.
He's just such a freaky looking human. He's built like a bean.
He's like a barrel.
Yes.
He's like a barrel person.
God.
Or one of the waitresses that Frank was hitting on is played by Lucy DeVito, his daughter.
It's so weird. A lot of these it's like some Eric Andre like stuff right there. Yes, his daughter, Jesus.
I find it it's more of a Woody Harrelson. Was it Woody Harrelson?
In
whatever one married his adopted daughter.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, there was some guy, I can't remember who it was. I don't think it's Woody Harrelson, because he's not that old, and I don't think he's married.
I don't know.
Woody Allen, that's it. He married his adopted daughter. It's kind of one of those...
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's not that bad when you consider he's got Harvey Weinstein and Roman Polanski to go up against.
Fair enough.
You know, he's among good company. He's got a rapist and another rapist.
It's some creepiest like thing of Three's Company ever. Jesus.
Three's Company. I thought it was the Weinstein Production Company was the name of Harvey Weinstein's.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were the ones who financed all of Quentin Tarantino's movies, so he could get it up with Thurman.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hollywood is full of strange people.
Yeah, it's just it's filled with like personality disorders gone wild. It's like, what if you take this person's really eccentric, really unstable personality and you just throw a lot of cocaine at it? It's like, you get something like Tom Cruise, something like Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp is a scary kind of looking human being.
He tried to smuggle his dogs into Australia.
Did he?
Yep.
Oh,
he had a bunch of dogs with him in some flight, and he tried to have them smuggled into Australia so they could be with him, because I guess he likes his dogs. It's kind of weird why so many actors are short. It goes back to Danny DeVito, but I think it might have been Christopher Hitchens who was the one who put forth the idea that acting in comedy is what ugly people do to get noticed. It's basically like if you're attractive, that's why there's sort of that trope of like airheaded bimbos with no personality. Is that, you know, the people who have to develop a personality and develop charisma and charm all look like freaks. Ricky Gervais has like a fat beer gut. Danny DeVito looks like a
gremlin.
He looks like a toad. Yeah, he played the troll in Charlie's musical.
Yeah, exactly.
And he kept chewing gum and saying whenever he would say soul, he would say hole. So you have to pay the troll toll if you want to get into the boy's hole.
Oh, is he supposed to say soul?
He was supposed to say soul, but he was chewing gum.
Jesus Christ, that's what the the Nightman.
Nightman cometh. Yeah, so I love that show, but I think it was Christopher Hitchens who was theorizing that part of the reason that you see so many funny-looking people in the entertainment industry is that in order to develop a personality that people want to be around if you're funny-looking, that's how you get people to be around you. And it sort of holds true when you look at how hideous so many actors and comedians are.
That's true, yeah.
Like Tom Cruise, he's got his messed up front teeth, he's only 5'4".
Tom Cruise is 5'4"?
I'm gonna look up how tall Tom Cruise is.
What?
I don't think he's that tall.
He's shorter than that?
It says 1.7 meters.
Oh, jeez, I don't even...
He's 5'7".
Wow.
He's a tiny little manlet. Nicole Kidman's taller than he is.
That's so strange. Nicole Kidman's taller. That's so weird.
He's really short.
I'm
like 5 inches. He's surprisingly old. He's in his 55.
Oh, man.
I didn't think he was that tall. Or that old.
The world's weird now. It feels weird when it's like Tom Cruise is 55. I mean, he still looks like he's like late 30s, early 40s.
I don't know what it is. Like, his body just... It slowly... He gets shorter. It's like how people get skinnier if they burn, calories. They're burning fat reserves. He's burning height reserves in order to maintain a youthful appearance.
He's burning through just like cerebral spinal fluid.
His calf is slowly shrinking over time. By the time he's 80, he's going to be like 5'2". Look terrific.
And he'll just have his feet will connect directly to his knees. Like some horrific...
There's no thigh, and he doesn't have any kind of a neck or anything.
But he's still got the same face, same structure.
And his front teeth. Yeah, it's just... It makes sense, because like Quentin Tarantino, he's a really, really good director, and people want to associate with him. He's a douche. He's kind of insane. Like during the first screening of Reservoir Dogs, he punched the projectionist in the face because they weren't screening it properly.
Jesus.
This is back when you had to have like a film key to sort of cut down on the border of the movie, like to sort of trim the edges. It was these copper keys you put in front of the projection, or the projector, if you wanted to get the right frame, and they didn't have the right key. So he punched him in the face, stopped the movie, because it was his first movie, and he wouldn't have it presented like that.
Bloody hell.
And he was
so insane.
And he was like, this is his first film, so it's not like he was an established actor where he could get away with this crap.
Bloody hell. This new director punches the projectionist in the face. That's insane.
He punched the projectionist in the face and he got away with it because he was really good. There are so many actors like that. Or Steven Seagal, the weird shit that he's done.
Oh, yeah, he does like... Doesn't he...
They talked about it on the Howard Stern show. I don't know if you watched that or not. Do you?
I've only seen like bits and clips of it before. I've never watched like a full episode.
So they had Rob Schneider on, and he's talking about how, because apparently Steven Seagal went to meet with the Dalai Lama at one point or another for like a brief meeting, because the Dalai Lama is basically a celebrity who doesn't actually do anything because he's not a fucking wizard.
That's what you think.
And yeah, I'm sure. If he were a wizard, then his descendant wouldn't have been kidnapped and killed. He would have saved his ass. Use your wizard powers to save that 5-year-old who you got killed.
We don't talk about that 5-year-old in particular.
But anyway, he was met with the Dalai Lama, and he's talking about how he was like made a deity or like some sort of like given some sort of religious significant position by the Dalai Lama, and how he's been feeling much more at home with himself, and how he's sort of he has a feeling of zen in his life. And then he gets a call from his ex-wife, and somebody mentions like, yeah, this is your ex-wife calling. Don't you let that fucking bitch on the phone. Hang up right now. as he just got done talking about how fantastic he feels since he's met with the Dalai Lama.
Jesus.
Or how he like to punch stunt coordinators in the face as part of fake fight scenes. Or it was in a movie with John Leguizamo. And then he shows up and he goes, I am the commander-in-chief of this operation. He's not the director. He's like a secondary actor. And then John Leguizamo starts giggling and just laughing his ass off, and he slams him up against a wall.
Whoa.
He's only like 5 feet tall.
John Leguizamo is?
He's not like 5 feet tall, but he's a small guy, and Steven Seagal's like 6'5". He's a real big dude.
And Steven Seagal, was he in the military?
I don't know. He'd like to think he was, but he talks about how he was the guy that the CIA goes to if they need to authenticate a weapon.
Jesus Christ. He's so weird.
And it's not like...
Steven Seagal's so weird.
It's not as though this is a situation of, well, you know what? Actors, they can be strange when they're this talented.
Yeah, Steven Seagal's like, you're kind
He's abysmal.
Act.
He's horrific.
Yeah, it's like you can't really act.
He's really, really bad. And they keep him around for some reason because he's a box office draw?
Yes, he's... I don't even know, like, thinking back to Steven Seagal movies and, like, clips and stuff, it's like there's, like, Funny Bad and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of, like, awkward to watch almost sometimes. Like, some of his stuff's funny, you know, when he's, like, doing the whole retarded, like, bone-breaking maneuver where he's just, like, breaking everyone's, like, legs and arms and necks and stuff. Like, karate chops.
He punches him and turns his head around.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, you know, just snapping everyone's neck, and it's just... Like, some of that's good, but other than that, it's just kind of hard to watch some of his stuff.
It really is. Like, he takes himself very seriously, which makes it the more funny when he's just a complete joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's
a character.
He's a character. He's a real special case, that one.
So what do you study? I'm curious.
I've done mostly while I'm here, history kind of stuff, I guess. History and some sciences stuff here and there. I've done like tons of, you know, big kind of history projects looking at like how the major powers in World War One get their borders that they do leading up to World War One. How you know, kind of like a short history of like Romania and stuff like that leading up to how it is today and stuff like that. I've done a few kind of projects.
Short history of Romania.
Yeah, just kind of like small highlights, like, and then
Vlad the Impaler ate all the people.
Yeah, but before we had Vlad, we had a bunch of Turkish people and a bunch of kind of Asian people just kind of running around on horses killing everyone. And so they ran to the mountains. And then after they were in the mountains, they said,
was this like
more Asians?
Chunks of the Mongol Empire?
It was... I don't think the Mongols held it. I think they just destroyed it.
They just did that.
Everyone just does... like, where Romania is it's in this corridor where you can either go through Poland or you can go through Romania, because otherwise you have to go through this big stretch of mountains called the Carpathian Mountains. So your options are Romania or Poland. And the thing is throughout a lot of history, Poland actually had a lot better position than it did in like World War II and stuff, so it could defend itself. Romania.
Poland, is sort of their history as a country would indicate that they're not very friendly to outsiders.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're going through Romania where they're also not friendly to outsiders. Like, oh, do I end up ground up and eaten as some sort of a strange Polish dessert called a nougat? Or do I get impaled?
Yeah, and even then, like, the Romanians, they couldn't keep up the impaling spree. They could only do it for a few years before they got, like, put back into check by a bunch of Turkish people.
Yeah, I feel like Vlad the Impaler probably thought he was hot shit after he had a bunch of people impaled, and then the Turkish are like, okay, settle down, Vlad, like, just simmer down, and they just immediately stomp his ass.
Yeah. Other than that, I've kind of done, like, one or two projects on certain diseases and stuff. Other than that, nothing too much.
Today I'm doing a case study on the Kardashians.
I've identified the Kardashians as their own form of disease.
They're a strange bunch, you know. You've got OJ as part of them, and he's banging his lawyer's wife, and Caitlyn Jenner is a man and killed a person while driving. Yeah.
Jesus,
crashed into the person's car, and then that person's car went into oncoming traffic, and they died.
Oh my God.
That's why South Park has this running gag called Buckle Up, Buckaroo, where Caitlyn Jenner will say that, drive away, and then run somebody over.
Jesus. Oh my God.
It really is fantastic to make Caitlyn Jenner look like a complete freak.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, you know, it's like, sure, you know, he transitioned from a man to a woman, et cetera, that's, you know, that's a thing that, you know, people can appreciate on its own, et cetera, as celebrity, but it's still a bloody member of the Kardashian family.
Yeah.
They're still a crazy, like, very morally bankrupt person.
Yep. Or how... I always saw these people going on about how, Caitlyn is just so beautiful, and then Jim Norton, this comedian, loves trans women, prostitutes in particular.
Jeez.
And then goes, haven't you seen how beautiful she is? No. I really haven't.
Yeah.
She looks like a 60-year-old man with long hair and a bad facelift.
Yeah.
Like, 60-year-old men don't look good when they transition at 60.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to mention the fact that he was like a physical specimen in his youth. Like, he went from being an Olympic athlete who was on the front of a Wheaties box named Bruce, it's a manly name, to Caitlyn Jenner. Oh, hi, I'm Caitlyn Jenner. As you can see, the voice surgery hasn't really worked out that well.
Yeah, it's just a complete mess.
I put the lotion in the basket.
Exactly. Man, I wouldn't be surprised if, like...
Cam, put the lotion in the basket. Give me the baby. I won't give you Northwest. Give me the goddamn baby.
Northwest.
Wearing a little pair of, like, those Yeezys, except it's a little baby booties.
That they have to throw out after 2 weeks because he outgrew them.
Yeah, I remember this one guy, he was talking about Yeezys, and he said, I think they might be counterfeit, but in that case, someone owes me $15. Because they were counterfeit. And he spent like $10 on them on account of them being counterfeit.
Bloody hell. Oh, man.
Want to call it a wrap?
Yeah, I think I have to start packing up now.
All right, this is fun doing it with you. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.